May 6, 1970, police responded to an emergency call in Gormley, Ontario, Canada. A rural Ontario schoolteacher, Albert Moorby, arrived home after work to find his 34-year-old wife, Doreen, on the floor in a pool of blood. Their toddler son was in the room with her crying and screaming, but otherwise unharmed. An autopsy would reveal that Doreen had been sexually assaulted and then shot 7 times with a .22 caliber gun. 13 days later, and not far away, a similar crime unfolded. On May 19th, Helen Ferguson, 38, of Palgrave, Ontario, was at home caring for her 8-year-old son Dale, who was sick with the mumps. Her 2 other children were at school, and her husband Russell was at work. A car pulled into their driveway, and Dale heard his mother answer the door. She told him to stay in his room while she helped a man with a sick child. Dale later heard what he thought were fireworks. He went out to see what was going on and found his mother, Helen, on the living room floor with blood seeping from her head. The boy locked eyes with the killer as he wiped the door for fingerprints and drove off. The frightened boy called police, who found that Helen Ferguson had been shot once in the back of the head and twice in the back with a .22 caliber gun. It didn't take long for police to connect both cases. From the very beginning, way back in 1970, the Ontario Provincial Police had their suspicions that the man responsible for killing Doreen Moorby and Helen Ferguson could be a cop. The news of the rape and murder of 2 Caledon women, both nurses, and mothers who were home alone with their children at the time, shook the community to its core in 1970. Despite an intensive police manhunt in Ontario, the suspect was not found until 27 years later when OPP detective Don McNeil reopened the case, and DNA evidence that was left at both scenes was matched to Ronald Glenn West, a former Toronto policeman who was working as an officer when both Doreen Moorby and Helen Ferguson were murdered in the spring of 1970. At the time of the murders, the police had interviewed over 3,000 suspects, and Ronald West would have likely have been involved in the original manhunt for the murderer in 1970. Quote, "His name was never on that list," a police officer told the Ottawa Citizen. Ronald West is also considered a suspect in the unsolved murders of Jacqueline McAllister and Brian Major, which are known as the Blind River murders.